Hello? Alright, you guys can hear me. Just give me one moment. Actually, while I'm finishing getting set up here, I'm going to play a video I released the other day. I don't even know if you guys can hear me. I don't have my headphones on. Let me see. Hello. 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 Okay. So while I'm finishing getting ready up here, let me put on a video that I released the other day. This should give us some context for the rest of the stream. So let's start with this.
Baby. Why I freak out so fast these days is that I assume you're splitting. You can't just stand there and take the punches. At a certain point, you're gonna fucking react. That's not what I'm asking. Let's be fair. No, but what I'm saying is, we're talking about splitting. I'm not asking you to stand there while I punch you. No, we're talking about me. Yeah, getting out of the room or leaving. It did not. I didn't. In Australia, I didn't leave the fucking house. I went to other rooms. Your splitting is chronic. It's early. It's quick. It's so not. You're not interested in not fighting. You are guaranteeing a fight when you do that. And I've told you this so many times. You guarantee if you were interested in not fighting, you would be respectful if you needed the space to make. You would be careful not to perpetuate the fight longer by saying, I need a few minutes, and then actually honoring that. How can I trust you that it will be a few minutes when you've done this in the past and disappeared for hours? You know, I got mad at you in Australia about this. I've said, baby, I want to trust you. It's hard for me not to try and work it out. If you want to be the person that's like, I need to cool down, help me do that, give that to you. But I can't give it to you if you always let me down and fuck up and forget. Because I gave you a time limit. Because I said I'll be back in 3 minutes. So I'm just it's different. If it happens, it's different. You never. If it happens, I'm just gonna say, look, I need some time. That's it. I'm telling you, that will make it worse. No. I guarantee you it will. If you're stuck in throwing punches. I'm not talking about throwing punches. I'm talking about an argument. Right. In arguments, you tend to throw punches. I'm talking about arguments. I'm not talking about the times when it's got physical. I'm talking about arguments. I'm talking about arguments. I'm talking about arguments. Yes, in our argument. Earlier and earlier and earlier. Now you split.
Is she talking about arguments, guys?
You don't deal with the issue. You don't deal with the confrontation, and you split. Whether it is, and then you do it for an undeterminate amount of time. You do it without actually respecting. When you do give me a time, like say I need a few minutes, you never actually honor anything close to that. So I can't trust you. And especially when you always take off. A few minutes is also an expression. So. Yes, exactly. And I'm not holding you to it. I'm saying hours and hours later is different. God, be respectful. That way it won't perpetuate the fight more. It gives me anxiety and makes me far more stressed and far more angry, and perpetuates the amount of time that I can cool down and go, you know what, maybe I'm acting this way, or maybe I'm being mean to him, or maybe I'm doing this wrong. Maybe I should come to his side or compromise more. It takes me so much longer
exponentially longer when you take off. You use it to hurt me. It's a tool now that you use. And come on, you can't act like you don't do it knowing it's gonna make me mad.
I'm not. It's not to get you mad. It's just to get out of a bad situation while it's happening before it gets worse. In Australia, when we had the big fight where I lost the tip of my finger, at least 5 bathrooms and 2 bedrooms I went to.
Real quick. The reason she said you do it on purpose and you use it against me to hurt me, the only reason she said that is because she knows he doesn't do it on purpose, or he doesn't use it against her as a tool to hurt her. This is all manipulation. It's crazy. Saying, I guarantee you're going to cause a fight by walking away from me when I get physically violent. If you don't want to cause a fight, you're not going to walk away from me when I start getting hyped up and angry, which leads to me physically hurting you. But if you don't want me to physically hurt you, you're going to risk getting hurt and trust that I won't hurt you, even though I always do, and not run away from me. It's so psychologically manipulative and just abusive.
To
avoid talking to me.
To escape the fight.
You don't escape the fight. You escape the solution.
No.
You escape the solution.
No.
You escape figuring it out. We cannot work it out if you run away to the bathroom every time.
Listen to me. I fucking go into the bathroom and sit on the floor. Bam, bam, bam. Here you come. I come out. Fight. Crazy. Escalated. I split again. I go to another fucking bathroom or a bedroom or something. Knock. Bang, bang, bang. You kept coming to get me.
Every single time I come to get you, what am I saying? 90% of the time. Stop. Let's work this out. Please, I don't want to do this. That's what you're fucking ignoring. That's the really fucking crazy thing that I cannot understand. The self-delusion is so fucking deep that you are able to tell me right now all of this and mean it. How can you say that to me? And like I'm self-soothe, and you can't make yourself bigger than the thing that you're really feeling at that moment and go, you're right. I know we're going to come to a solution eventually. Let's end it now and come straight to the solution. Or respectfully, I can't imagine coming to a solution because I need to cool down. So just give me a few minutes. And in which case I would respect that. If you would respect it too, and you would actually be a reasonable amount of time. But I don't have that option. And you ignore on purpose is that I'm coming to you saying, let's stop doing this. And you perpetuate.
But I don't have that option. You don't give me that option. So therefore, I have to physically abuse you because you don't give me the option. It's insane.
Perpetuate the fight. You perpetuate it when you run away. You start it when it could just be a petty argument, and you make it not a petty argument because you run away, and then it becomes a fight. Instead of just saying sorry, instead of working it out, instead of facing it, instead of confronting things, you run away at minute 3, and then it's impossible to work it out because you've insulted me. Now I'm mad, and then I have to come to you to go, come out of the bathroom, baby, let's work this out, which I can't do because that's annoying to you too. How would you feel if I ran away from you all the time? You fucking like it. You fucking deal with it. Now it's my turn. I get to avoid fucking problems. I get to avoid the responsibility. Let's see how that works out for you.
Avoid fights. And by the way,
yeah, let's be perfect.
And by the way,
why don't we just perfect? Why don't we just live in make believe? I can't do it anymore. Fine.
Yeah, guys, let's go to make-believe land. Like, a land where I don't physically start beating up my partners and my husband when we get into a little argument. Ugh, God, like, how unreasonable. You really think I'm not gonna beat the fuck out of you and start hitting you and physically abusing you when we have an argument? God, you're asking me so much from me. Like, you want me to just be perfect? That's not real, babe.
I'm done. I give up.
Let me finish this. Necessarily, I'm just.
No, you're not. You're trying to protect yourself only because you cannot control your anger and you cannot control it.
No, in fact, you know what? I'm trying to make it better. That's this fucking time thing. You ask any fucking doctor, you ask Callan, you ask anybody. The best thing to do if it's coming to a fucking horrible, violent thing is fucking walk away. Take your fucking time. Go to your corner. It's the best thing you can fucking do. 7 times.
I don't know what 7 times you're talking about. I don't know.
5 bathrooms, 2 bedrooms.
You were coked out of your fucking mind. You were fucking crazy. You didn't sleep for days. You were delusional. You were psychotic. Literally, you went into psychosis. Do not tell me about your behavior during that fucking escapade. I have tried to completely block it out.
And I threw the vodka bottle? No.
Majority of our fights.
No, absolutely. Okay, I'll admit that. Yeah, the majority of our fights, I hang on to it.
Did you hear that? And I threw the vodka bottle? He said sarcastically.
It's fucking hard
I'm about to come on screen in a minute. I'm almost done.
to let go. Some of the shit that you go through in a fight can be painful, and it's hard to forget shit.
Yeah, no shit. But if you want to keep doing this and live a life where you constantly are using that as ammunition, which you could shoot yourself in the head, that's fine. Okay. But at least admit you're doing that. If you want to hold on to everything and never get over it, never let go, then don't scratch your head and go, I wonder why I'm so aggressive when you point out anything I did wrong. I wonder why I have so much resentment for you. I wonder why we fight so much. Stop scratching your head and wonder and just admit it's because you never let a fucking thing go. You can't get over anything, and that you won't and cannot calm yourself down when you're mad.
So it's all my fault.
No, the splitting.
Me splitting.
Like the lack of, I even said this in Australia. I feel like it was so good for so long. We talked about things. Remember we were allowed to have fights then. Remember we allowed ourselves to say, hey, you did this or you took. Remember we would even have a little argument and it was okay. It was an argument. I don't know what the fuck has changed. I can't figure it out. And I don't mean to criticize anything that you do, but it's so chronic with you, the changes in personality. It's like sometimes you get these clear months and you're this different person and it's wonderful, you're this, and then sometimes I'm like struggling to stay connected with you, struggling to have 5 minutes with you, struggling to connect with you, struggling to have my friendship with you, and I can't fight with you. It's like they're so chronic that I have to go, what the fuck has changed? What thing has changed?
You guys want to know what changed? What changed is Johnny started realizing that every time she gets upset, she starts beating on him. So now she walks away. Now he doesn't let their fights escalate to that point, and Amber's upset about it. I know that all abuse victims aren't the same. We don't all react the same. But seriously, does it make any sense for an abuse victim, a physically violent domestic abuse victim and sexual assault victim to be upset at her abuser for not letting their fights escalate? That makes no sense. No victim, such as this, a real victim would do exactly what Johnny's doing. A victim would leave before the fights start to escalate. They would not encourage or be upset for their abuser walking away when their fights start to escalate. An abuse victim wouldn't be mad at her abuser not letting them fight. It's just insane. All right, I'm about to jump on the camera here. Let's see. So today we are going to watch the fireworks of the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial for Amber Heard's birthday, which just passed. It was her 37th birthday. It was on April 22nd. So I thought we would celebrate by covering and reacting to probably one of the most humiliating, deservingly so, day in her life. One of the most deservingly humiliating days of her life. So happy birthday, Amber Turd. So let me bring that video up now. We are going to skip day 1 of her cross-examination because honestly, it started towards the end of the day. There wasn't that much, and the real fireworks happen on the second day. So I'm going to start on the second day. All right, let me get my camera going. Wow, I was just muted. That's embarrassing. I was just talking. Okay, it doesn't matter. I was just talking about my messy hair and calling myself a ragamuffin and all that. Okay, let's go.
The best of times.
Sorry, 1 second. I have to change the headphones. Okay.
Ms. Heard,
That is correct.
you testified that as far as you could tell, Mr. Depp was sober that first year.
Correct.
Your relationship with Mr.
Here we go.
Good morning, Ms. Heard.
Good morning.
It's not going to be a very good morning.
Your relationship with Mr. Depp began in October of 2011, right?
That's correct.
And you previously testified multiple times under oath that the first year of your relationship with Mr. Depp was the best of times, right, Ms. Turd?
That is correct.
You testified that as far as you could tell, Mr. Depp was sober that first year,
That is correct. That's what I used to believe.
and that the first year was, quote, magic.
Yes, I always estimated it was about a year.
But now you've told this jury that Mr. Depp was being violent with you throughout 2012, haven't you, Ms. Heard?
No, he took a break in the middle of 2012 when he was sober.
You told them that he was hitting you in 2012, though. Is that right?
He was hitting me in 2012. He just took a break in the middle.
Oh God, I gotta let my cat in.
He was smashing things around you, right?
He did.
And you told them that Mr. Depp was in and out of sobriety in 2012.
That is correct.
You told this jury that, quote, in 2012, I was in the beginning stages of this, just learning these patterns. I was learning that drinking kind of correlated with the violence, end quote. Is that right?
That is correct.
So it was during these cycles of violence in 2012 that you gave Mr. Depp a knife as a gift.
I gave him a knife, I think for a birthday present early in our relationship. I believe it was around 2012, but I'm not certain.
We've seen a picture of that knife, but I think we should bring out the real thing. Master Deputy Halusa, Master Deputy Sheriff Halusa, may I please have you show the knife to Ms. Heard?
Yes, that's it.
Okay, hold on. I want to go back
That's
for
the
a
knife
second
you gave
already.
to the man who was hitting you, right, Ms. Heard?
Oh shit, I have to turn my headphones on again. Sorry guys, I'm still new at streaming. Okay, well, let me go back.
Is that right?
That-
I was learning that drinking kind of
Yes.
it was during these cycles of violence in 2012 that you gave Mr. Depp a knife as a gift.
Okay, Camille asked, it was during these cycles of violence that, during these cycles of violence that you gave Mr. Depp, your husband, your violent husband, a knife as a gift. Listen to Amber's answer.
I gave him a knife, I think for a birthday present early in our relationship.
End quote. Is that patterns?
I think for a birthday
It was during these cycles of violence in 2012 that you gave Mr. Depp a knife as a gift.
I gave him a knife, I think for a birthday present early in our relationship. I believe it was around 2012, but I'm not certain.
We see
So the answer is yes, you gave Mr. Depp a knife as a gift during these times. She refuses to say yes. She could have just said yes. Yes, that's true. But she can't say yes. She just cannot agree with Camille. And I think this is present throughout her whole cross-examination. And not only Johnny, but other people testify to her being like this. She just cannot admit any faults, not admit when she's wrong. She is non-agreeable. She said yes, but without saying the words yes. She just, it's like she tries to get around it so hard. It's just, it's a big tell, in my opinion.
seen a picture of that knife, but I think we should bring out the real thing.
Yes, let's bring it out.
Master Deputy Halusa, Master Deputy Sheriff Halusa, may I please have you show the knife to Ms. Heard?
Camille the Queen.
Yes, that's it.
That's the knife you gave to the man who was hitting you, right, Ms. Heard?
I wasn't worried he was going to stab me with it when I gave it to him. That's for certain.
But you gave it to him while he was abusing you, allegedly.
I gave it to him that year.
Master Deputy Sheriff.
I didn't even like I live in the city, so I carry around like a pocket knife and like pepper spray. When I was in an abusive relationship, I didn't even like bring those to my abusive boyfriend's house at the time, let alone gift him a knife, a huge knife. Especially like he's on drugs, he's violently, I mean, these these incidents that she describes are not just like he slaps her. None of it's okay, but like it's not like he slapped her once and that was it. These are like violent, vicious, intense beatings, like being beaten over and over again and like pushed into the wall and sexually assaulted, and like it's intense. You would, this makes no sense.
Lisa, will you please show the knife to the jury?
That's a huge knife. That blade is longer than his hand.
This is the knife you gave to
It's
the
like a
man who would
kitchen
get
knife.
drunk and violent with you, right?
This is the
I
same
was-
knife that I gave him as a present in 2012. Yes.
Yeah, I was about to say that. She wrote, "Until death do us part,"
Now, Ms. Hurd, I'm going to need to talk to you about what happened in Australia in March of 2015.
which she tried to use against him.
Testify that
over
at
and
some
over
point
again in
during
this
the
trial.
incident you described, you witnessed Mr. Depp bashing the phone against a wall, right?
That is correct.
You testified that the phone was breaking into pieces.
I was watching it disappear.
That Mr. Depp smashed it, I think your word was smithereens.
Smithereens.
Yes, that is correct.
And according to your testimony, this was a wall-mounted phone in the bar area.
That is correct.
Let's take a look at Defendant's Exhibit 1820.
She looks nervous.
I believe this has already been admitted into evidence, if we could have it published.
Mm-hmm. Drink that water.
Thank you. You saw this photo during your direct examination, right?
That is correct.
And you testified that the wall-mounted phone that you saw Mr. Depp smash is on the wall on the left.
That's correct. So if you were looking at this picture, the wall-mounted phone would have been behind you on the left-hand side of your shoulder.
But it's not depicted in this photo, correct?
Whoever took this photo was standing right in front of where that mounted phone was.
It's convenient. The pieces of the phone Mr. Depp smashed aren't in this picture either, right?
You don't see it because it's whoever took this photo standing in front of that.
In front of the
Whoever
broken
took this photo is
pieces?
Mr. Ben King, correct?
That's what I believe.
Yeah. Mr. King testified under oath in this trial, right?
That is correct.
And he testified that there was no wall-mounted phone smashed to smithereens that he had to replace, correct?
I didn't hear him testify to that, no.
He did. Your counsel elicited it.
I disagree with that representation.
You also saw this picture. Actually, can you please bring up Defendant's
I
Exhibit
disagree with that
1821,
representation.
which is also admitted into evidence.
Oh my god, does she think she's like actually slick?
You also saw this picture during your direct examination, correct?
So
is correct.
prideful.
And so this is the bar area to the right of the wall-mounted phone you just described.
If you were facing in that direction, if you're facing this direction, it would be behind you.
This phone on the counter isn't the phone that got smashed to smithereens, is it?
No, they brought that out during my testimony in the UK as well. And I said this in the UK trial.
So, do you guys think that she's completely making up the phone? There is no phone? Or did she break it and not take pictures of it? No, because if she broke it, Ben King would have taken pictures of that. So she's just fucking making up the whole phone thing. Maybe she saw the evidence and needed to make a story for all the broken pieces. I have no like, why would she make up? It's weird. It's weird. It's weird. It's weird.
As well, that is not the phone, obviously, because that one's not smashed and it's not wall mounted.
Obviously,
phones in the bar area.
because yeah,
There,
I'm telling the
there was a
truth.
wall mounted phone. I don't know if it was decorative or what, but it was what, like it looked antique, large and antique.
And
it broke
one
into
large
smithereens.
antique one that's not depicted in any photograph, including ones you took, is the one that Mr. Depp damaged.
Those
correct?
ones are like
That is
brass,
correct. I only took pictures of the mirrors.
heavy
So
metal.
there's no picture of that damaged phone.
I didn't take a picture of it. No.
There's just too much. There's too much to comment on.
So back to the phone smashing. You watched Mr. Depp smash the phone, right?
That's
You
correct. I
cannot
watched it.
smash a
And you
large
testified that you were,
metal.
quote, watching the phone every single time he pulled his hand back, end quote.
That's correct.
And according to you, this is when Mr. Depp lost the tip of his finger, right?
It is my best guess. I didn't know.
Sorry, I'm going to be pausing a lot. So again, when the way she describes throughout the trial, the way she describes these scenes, as she literally refers to them as, Elaine asked her, does this photograph depict the scene portrayed? And she goes, I don't know if it was from that scene. She literally calls them scenes. But other than that, the way she talks like in such a like poetic way. It's not like poetic, but it's like very dramatic, like you're reading a book or like a film script. And she's an actress, right? She does say she reads books, but I don't know. I really don't know how much books she reads. She doesn't seem that smart. But she is an actress. She reads a lot of scripts, and I think she sees her. She's so narcissistic. She's like living her life as a movie star. Like she's the star of her own movie. And I think that's why she like is when she's trying to like make up these incidents that she is claiming happened, she's like describing them in such a like dramatic novelist way. Like each time he pulled his hand back, more pieces of it was just disappearing every time. Like that's not what you would be thinking in that moment. Like I mean, you might I don't know. She says this throughout the trial, just all these weird things, like her breath on the window, and she was looking at a blue light while he was beating her, and the orange carpet, she didn't know it was so filthy before. Like all these weird ass details that I think she's purposely including because when she went and read about PTSD, she probably read somewhere that most people will like just remember like a flash, and they'll have just like a little detail that they remembered, or also that she'll think that because she's recalling such specific details, people will be like, well, how could she make that up if she remembers all that? Which didn't work on most people. But I was recently rewatching her direct testimony, and a couple comments were like, guys, she's giving a lot of details. Like it sounds like she's not lying. So it could trick a couple people, but let's see. I'm telling you, in my opinion, she's not only borderline and histrionic, but I think she's also a manipulative narcissist. Right. Like I cannot diagnose her, but she is 100% manipulative and a narcissist. Like that's just there's just no denying that. She is manipulative. There's something like she's so prideful. She has to prove herself. She needs to be tough, and I think a lot of that comes from her like raising her childhood, her dad raising her to be like tough. Like he wanted boys and he got 2 girls. So he made his oldest daughter kind of like he raised her like a boy kind of. And also she's bi. So growing up in Texas, bi, probably pretty hard. And she just, yeah, I don't know. She just has, it's just funny though, because she calls herself a feminist, but she looks at feminine traits as like negative or weak. Like she's not proud of her femininity. Shit. All right, sorry. 1 minute. I have to take this phone call, but let's keep watching.
Notice his finger come off. Obviously, I was watching him smash the phone and watching the pieces break while he was doing it.
Well, it's not your best guess, Ms. Turd.
That is my best guess, yes.
Okay, let's go back to my questions. You submitted a declaration under the penalty of perjury in this case. Do you remember that?
That is correct.
Okay, let's look at that declaration.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
If we could direct your attention, Ms.
Okay,
Turd,
guys,
to
I'll be right back, but I'm still
page,
listening.
14 of the declaration. Is that your signature?
Yes, it is.
And your signature appears right under the
Yes,
statement,
I'm
quote,
still listening.
I declare,
Comment on
under
everything
penalty
when I
of
come back.
perjury, under the laws of the state of Virginia, that the foregoing is true and correct.
That is correct.
And this is dated April 10th, 2019.
Correct.
Now let's look at paragraph 16, which is on page 5. Specifically line 10. Quote, you write, testify under oath, while he was smashing the phone, Johnny severely injured his finger, cutting off the top of it, end quote. Did I read that correctly?
Yes, that's correct.
So you testified in this courtroom that after Mr. Depp smashed the phone, he held you down on the countertop by the neck. Do you remember that?
I'm not quite sure of the exact sequence of things, but yes, both of those things happened.
Well, we'll get to the sequence. And this is when Mr. Depp supposedly assaulted you with a bottle, right?
On the countertop, he assaulted me.
So Mr. Depp was able to get you on the counter, right?
He held me down by my neck.
And hold you down by your neck.
That is correct.
And he grabbed a bottle, according to you, while holding you down by the neck, correct?
I'm sorry, can you clarify what you're asking me?
While Mr. Depp is holding you by the neck against the countertop, he grabs a bottle. That's your testimony.
No, those two things didn't happen at the exact same time, no.
While he's holding the bottle, is that your testimony?
He
While
was
holding
my-
you down by the neck?
Sorry, what was your question?
Your testimony is, Ms. Hurd, that either he has the bottle before or after he's holding you by the neck on the counter. Is that your testimony?
He held me by the neck on the counter.
Where's the bottle that he
At
assaulted
what
with?
point?
While holding you down by your neck.
When he was assaulting me with the bottle, it was in his hand.
Was it in his hand before or after he holds you down by your neck?
I was being held down while he assaulted me with the bottle.
When he puts you on the counter, does he have the bottle in his hand? Yes or no?
As I have always said, I don't remember exactly what happened first, or I don't remember the sequence. I just remember being aware that I was being assaulted by a bottle while I was on the countertop.
So he penetrates you with this bottle. But you don't know how he got the bottle, right?
That is correct.
And he did that right after he lost the tip of his right middle finger.
Again, I don't remember the exact sequence of those events.
We'll get to the sequence. And while he was on 8 to 10 MDMA pills, right?
Yes.
Let's talk about the sequence. This is the sequence of events you testified to in this courtroom. That he smashed the phone to smithereens and then assaulted you, lost the tip of his finger, and then assaulted you with a bottle. Yes, that's the sequence of events that you testified to in this courtroom.
To be clear, you're putting it in order when you say words like then. I have never claimed that I can remember the exact sequence of these things. This was a multi-day assault that took place over 3 horrible days.
Ms.
It was
Hurd,
the worst thing ever
Ms.
happened
Hurd,
to me. I
we're
don't
not
remember
Ms.
the
Hurd,
exact
that's not my
sequence.
question. My question isn't about the 3-day assault allegedly that occurred. I'm just talking about the sexual assault that you now allege occurred.
Yes,
Okay?
correct.
Let's talk about the sequence. So you testified, actually. Yeah, I know. I just realized that. Do you have a copy? We gave it to you yesterday. Court transcript. Yes. Sir, do you have a copy of day 16 in front of you?
Day 16? Yes, of
Court
my
transcript?
deposition?
Yes.
Mhm.
No, of the court transcript from this trial.
Oh,
Yes.
I didn't realize that. Yeah.
Okay. Let's look at the transcript. So you testified on page, I'm getting there, 4506.
All
in
right.
there? Okay. And the reason that we need to go through this, Ms. Hurd, is because we understand that these are very serious allegations that you're making, right?
It was horrible. What happened to me? Yes.
Okay, so let's go through them. Page 4506, line 2 through 3. I sit here now. Apologize. You testified on page 4506. This all started when Mr. Depp took 8 or 10 pills of MDMA, right?
That is correct.
Then, directing your attention to page 4518. Line 19. You talk about Mr. Depp smashing a wall-mounted phone, correct?
That is correct.
Then on page 4519, at line 3, you testified that while Mr. Depp is smashing the phone, he is screaming, quote, "I fucking hate you," end quote, right?
Yes, he was screaming that among other things.
And further down on page 4519, same page, lines 12 through 19, you talk about how you watched Mr. Depp smash the phone to smithereens, right?
That is correct.
Then, continuing on the same page, 4519, line 20, you say something really important. Quote, "At some point, he's on top of me. No phone, but screaming the same thing," end quote, right?
I just remember the sound. Yes.
But you remembered and you testified to this jury that he didn't have the phone in his hand anymore.
When he was assaulting me with the bottle,
Right.
he had the bottle in his hand. When he was punching the wall with the phone, he had the phone in his hand. When he was punching the wall next to my head, he had me by the throat. He did a lot of things that night.
So you're acknowledging by this sequence, not my words, your words, Ms. Hurd, that you testified to this jury that Mr. Depp smashed the phone to smithereens before he assaulted you. That's the sequencing in which you testified, correct?
I have never testified to a sequence.
Keep talking about that sequence. Then on page 4521, starting at line 3, you testified to being bent over backwards on the bar, right?
Okay.
Oh, I'm still muted. I was just talking for a second. Okay. All right, I'm back, guys. Okay. So I was listening in the whole time. Sorry, I just had to do something really quick. But I was listening in. I was in here for like the best part, but we're going to talk about it. Because there's so much bullshit in that. All right, I took notes. I took notes. Okay. So she says, can you hear me? Okay. So the part she's like trying to, Camille is trying to get through this whole sequence of the like bottle story and everything. And this is proof. This is a clear display of Amber's manipulation, her ways of manipulation. She's either trying to overcomplicate it because she literally like doesn't know and she's making it up, or because she's just like playing dumb on purpose, being manipulative, acting like, what are you talking about? I don't understand, because she can't answer the question and she wants to annoy Camille. She wants to like just piss off Camille, get under her skin, and make her just lose her mind basically. And it is pure manipulation. Let me play it back again real quick, and I'll play it like at double speed so we can catch up to the part. I think I only missed like 5 minutes or so. Let's see.
Down on page 451, you testified, and 10. You testified on page 45. This question that they used about the maid, and
We're almost here.
he's holding while Mr. Depp
Down.
and end quote. You state of Virginia that the foregoing is true and correct. Declaration.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
What the declaration? Is that your signature?
Yes, it is.
And your signature appears right under the statement, quote,
Wow.
I declare under
Yes.
penalty of perjury.
Correct.
Now let's look at paragraph 16, which is on page 5. Specifically line 10.
Wait, did I miss?
That is my best guess.
Okay,
Yes.
let's go back to my questions. You submitted a declaration under the penalty of perjury in this case,
Hold on, sorry guys.
right?
That's correct. I watched it.
And you testified that you were, quote, watching the phone every single time he pulled his hand back, end quote.
That's correct.
And according to you, this is when Mr. Depp lost the tip of his finger, right?
It is my best guess. I didn't notice his finger come off. Obviously, I was
Hold on,
watching him
it's a
smash the
little
phone
bit further back.
or what, but it was wet.
I'd
Take his break while he was doing it.
Well, it's not your best guess, Ms. Turd.
Right here it is. I'm so sorry.
And- yeah.
We'll fast forward again through all of that. Once I just wanted to shoot like one part. Come on, now I messed it up.
You don't see it because it's whoever took this photo standing in front of
You also saw this picture. Actually, can we please bring out defendant's exhibit? You also saw this picture during your direct examination.
me. That is correct. I only took pictures of the
Oh,
mirrors.
real quick.
That's
She
correct.
only took pictures
According
in
to
the
you-
mirrors. This was like the most horrific event. She took a million pictures of Johnny sleeping. She took a picture of her bruised arm. She took a picture of all of like Australia. She took a picture of the mirrors, but she didn't take one picture over the whole 4 years of any of her injuries besides a bruise on her arm that easily could have been done by a friend, by herself, by just a simple accident. I mean, that part of your arm is literally like it has such a high pain tolerance. Anyone could just like punch you there. She also has she talks about in this trial a skin condition. So the sun so it sounds like her skin is very sensitive to the sun, and she'll get like it sounds like rashing or bruising or just like, so it seems like she has very sensitive skin. So if somebody just like punched her on the arm right here, she'd probably get like that bruise. There's no way she would not take a picture of one injury, one black eye, especially being that beaten up. It is just complete bullshit.
This is when Mr. Depp lost the tip of his finger, right?
It is my best guess. I didn't notice his finger come off. Obviously, I was watching him smash the phone and watching the pieces break while he was doing it.
Well, it's not your best guess, Ms. Turd.
That is my best guess. Yes.
That's what you were watching instead of your husband's finger being cut off, being cut open with the bone sticking out and blood squirting out like crazy. That's what you're looking at? Why aren't you covered in blood if he was holding you down like with a finger cut off? Like God, so many holes in the story. Too many.
let's go back to my questions. You submitted a declaration under
Your
the penalty of
questions,
perjury in
Camille.
this case. Do you remember that?
That is correct.
Let's look at that declaration.
Let's look at it. Like literally, she's like, "Oh God, whew, here we go."
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
If we could direct your attention, Ms. Turd, to the page 14 of the declaration, the statement. And this is dated April 10th, under penalty 19.
Correct.
So you testified in this courtroom that after Mr. Depp smashed the phone, he held you down on the countertop by the neck. Do you remember that?
I'm not quite sure of the exact sequence of things, but yes, both of those things happened.
We'll get to the sequence. And this is when Mr. Depp supposedly assaulted you with a bottle, right?
And by the way, she's being held down like with her back down. So like she's like facing upwards. Which being bent over like that, like God. Like it doesn't make any sense. The way she describes all these injuries and stuff, it's so fake. It's exactly like what you would see in the movies where somebody like goes through some kind of event where they 100% would not survive. But then the next day they're like totally fine, no bruises, no broken bones or anything. They're just like back to life the next day. Or they get a black eye and then it's like gone in 2 days. It's like this is movie, TV show, Hollywood shit. That shit doesn't happen in real life. But she's like, she probably thinks it does because she's just so fucking delusional.
On the countertop, he assaulted me.
So Mr. Depp was able to get you on the counter, right?
He held me down by my neck.
And hold you down by your neck.
That is correct.
And he grabbed a bottle, according to you, while holding you down by the neck, correct?
I'm sorry, can you clarify what you're asking me?
That.
While Mr.
Can you clarify what you're asking me? Girl, you know what she's asking you. And look at her face. She's trying to be all sweet, like, sorry, can you clarify what you're asking me? I don't know. I'm sorry. Like she gets this like soft voice and these like eyes. Like it's so manipulative. She knows she's playing dumb and she's either trying to bother Camille or it's just because she like doesn't know what to say because it didn't happen. I think it's both.
Mr. Depp is holding you by the neck against the countertop. He grabs a bottle. That's your testimony.
No, those two things didn't happen at the exact same time, no.
So he's holding the bottle. Is that your testimony? While
was holding
holding you
my-
down by the neck.
Sorry, what was your question?
Sorry,
Your testimony is, Ms. Turd,
what was your
that
question?
either he has the bottle before or after he's holding you by the neck on the counter. Is that your testimony?
He held me by the neck on the counter.
Where's the bottle? That he
At what
assaulted you with
point?
while holding you down.
She's doing this on fucking purpose. This is what I'm talking about. A clear display of her manipulation. She's like, at what point? No, those things didn't happen at the same time. Yes, he was holding me down by my neck. Oh, you were asking about the bottle? At what point? Like,
By your neck.
When he was assaulting me with the bottle, it was in his hand.
yeah, that's not what she was asking, and you know it.
Was it in his hand before or after he holds you down by?
How would that happen with it not be in his hand? He was assaulting me with the bottle. He wasn't holding it. Like, look at this confused look on her face too. What? Huh? I'm so confused. What?
Your neck.
I was being held down while he assaulted me with the bottle.
He puts you on the
Duh.
counter. Does he have the bottle in his hand? Yes or no?
As I have always said, I don't remember exactly what happened first, or I don't remember the sequence. I just remember being aware that I was being assaulted by a bottle while I was on the countertop.
Oh,
kind of
cool. Well, she was asking when he picked it up. Like, you really, the problem is she's trying to portray herself as this like strong, intelligent female, but then she also she plays a like female victim card, like, oh, I'm just a dumb female, I need help, I don't understand what, like, I'm just a girl, like, sorry. But she wants to like portray herself as this like strong, bold, intelligent feminist. You can't have both. And you're not a feminist, you're an anti-feminist bitch.
This bottle. But you don't know how he got the bottle, right?
That is correct.
And he did that right after he lost the tip of his right middle finger.
Again, I don't remember the exact sequence of those events.
We'll get to the sequence.
You think she's
While
trying
he was on
to
8
buy
to 10
time?
MDMA.
Yeah, I think she
Yes.
was too. And then I
Let's talk about the
think
sequence.
she was
This is the sequence of
noticing
events
how
you
it was
testified to in
pissing off
court.
Camille, so she like
Smashed the
kept
phone to
doing it
smithereens
too.
And then assaulted you, lost the tip of his finger, and then assaulted you with a bottle. Yes? That's the sequence of events that you testified to in this courtroom.
To be clear, you're putting it in order when you say words like then. I have never claimed that I can remember the exact sequence of these things. This was a multi-day assault that took place over 3 horrible days.
Ms.
It's the
Turd,
worst thing ever
Ms.
happened
Turd,
to me.
we're
and I
not,
don't
Ms.
remember the
Turd,
exact
that's not my
sequence.
question. My question isn't about the 3-day assault allegedly that occurred. I'm just talking about the sexual assault that you now allege occurred.
Yes,
Okay?
correct.
Let's talk about the sequence.
Okay. So,
So you testified. Actually. Yeah. Do you have a copy? Yeah.
All right.
Okay. And the reason that we need to go through this, Ms. Turd, is because we understand that these are very serious allegations that you're making, right?
that part. Hold on, I need to play that in regular speed. That was amazing. Because I noticed, like, I was starting to, like, react to it a little bit too. Like, clearly I don't believe Amber, but to the jury who hasn't heard all the full audio recordings and everything, I'm sure they already were, like, convinced she was lying. But Camille was starting to come off a little, like, insensitive because she is asking her questions about the most serious traumatic event that Amber's alleging. So I was even starting to get like, oh, like if anybody does think Amber's a victim, Camille's kind of coming off a little bit strong here. But she threw that in at the perfect moment, and it turned it all around. It turned all the guilt back on Amber because Camille's like, basically like, this is super serious, so I need to make sure every detail you're saying is truthful because these are very serious events you're alleging, right? You understand that, right? Like, that was brilliant. I remember watching that live.
It was horrible what happened to me. Yes.
Okay. So let's go
It
through
was horrible what happened to me, yes.
page 4506, line 2 through 3. I sit here now. Apologize. You testified on page 4506. This all started when Mr. Depp took 8 or 10 pills of MDMA, right? Or 9, right?
Yes, he was screaming that among other things.
And further down on page 4519, same page, lines 12 through 19, you talk about how you watched Mr. Depp smash the phone to smithereens, right?
That is correct.
Then, continuing on same page, 4519, line 20, you say something really important. Quote, at some point, he's on top of me. No phone, but screaming the same thing, end quote, right?
I just remember the sound. Yes.
But you remembered, and you testified to the jury, that he didn't have the phone in his hand anymore.
When he was assaulting me with the bottle, he had the bottle in his hand. When he was punching the wall with the phone, he had the phone in his hand. When he was punching the wall next to my head, he had me by the throat. He did a lot of things that night.
So you're acknowledging, by this sequence, not my words, your words, Ms. Turd, that you testified to this jury, that Mr. Depp smashed the phone to smithereens before he assaulted you. That's the sequencing in which you testified, correct?
I have never testified to a sequence.
Keep talking about that sequence. Then on page 4521, starting at line 3, you testified to being bent over backwards on the bar, right? Okay.
Bent over backwards, dude. Like, dude, God, like, ugh. Like, I'm not flexible. Maybe she's a fucking, like, rubber band or something, but, like, especially, okay, she's bent over backwards, being assaulted with an inanimate, being penetrated with an inanimate object, while her bare feet are slipping and being cut open on the floor, the hard floor with shards of glass. Dude, you like wouldn't just from the glass, just from the cuts on your feet alone, it would be hard to walk for like the next couple days, if not weeks. From the glass alone. There is not enough blood on those floors in those pictures for her feet to have been cut open by the glass shards like this. I also have, when they show pictures of the bottle, I have some comments to make about that too, why that would be not possible. Okay, let's keep going. There's just so much to fucking unpack here.
You testified that you were concerned Mr. Depp was using a broken bottle on you, yes? On your pee. Testing you. Yeah, over backwards on the bar, right?
That is correct.
And then feeling pressure on your pubic bone like Mr. Depp was punching you, yes?
That's what I thought.
And then further down on page 4521 and onto 4522, you testified that you were concerned Mr. Depp was using a broken bottle on you, yes?
That was my fear. That's what I remember feeling.
you remember feeling that you were being penetrated by a broken bottle. This is just mind-blowing. Like, it is just beyond ridiculous. This is Hollywood. Like, this is even too ridiculous for Hollywood. I think you would know if there was a broken bottle. Like, I don't even want to think about it. It's disturbing. This woman is fucking disturbing that she came up with this. And I mean, I did hear that she stole this story from a coworker or a friend, or she heard about that, like someone being penetrated, like raped with a bottle. Sorry, raped with a bottle. And she like stole their abuse story. But even like that, I don't know which one's worse, making it up or like stealing someone's story to falsely accuse your ex-husband that you used to abuse in front of the entire world, and you know, therefore make life 10 times more harder than to be believed for victims than it already was prior. How can she even lie like that with such a straight face? It boggles my mind that she was able to go there every day for 6 weeks, knowing the pure evilness of what she was doing, not just to Johnny, but falsely accusing somebody of the serious shit that she is falsely accusing somebody of. I think sometimes, like, some people like have watched this trial or seen clips, and we kind of like desensitize ourselves to it because they're celebrities, and it seems so unreal and just like not real life when you actually start like thinking like someone is falsely accusing somebody of the most horrendous shit in front of the entire world. And now real victims all over the whole entire world are facing consequences because of her actions. Johnny Depp and his entire family is suffering because of this. His children, all the people involved that she hurt, her own family. Like, and she could do this every day for 6 weeks. It is absolutely mind-boggling, like the pure evilness. It's really not even funny, but I mean, we have to laugh at it because it's just that evil. Like it's the only way you can make sense of it. But she is disgusting. She is scum. Like people are like, why are you so like obsessed with this case? And I'm like, it's mind-boggling. Like literally, honestly, in my opinion, the next worst thing to actually like raping and like domestic abuse and sexual assault, the next worst thing under that is knowingly making false accusations about somebody about those things. Like falsely accusing somebody of doing those things that you know didn't do them is just fucking evil. So evil. And she did it in front of the entire world, knowing very well what she was doing. And even on top of it, she was abusing him. I can't. I'm gonna use some of my coffee. I'm gonna freak out.
Turd, I'm going to show you Defendant's Exhibit 1816.
Okay, this part.
Thank you. You saw this picture during your direct examination, right?
I did.
And you testified that this is a picture of the bottles that were next to Mr. Depp on a desk when you found him drinking in the morning, right?
That's correct.
And this was the morning after Mr. Depp had allegedly sexually assaulted you, right?
It was the morning after he did assault me. Yes.
And if I understood your testimony correctly, you testified that this is the Maker's Mark bottle that Mr. Depp sexually assaulted you with.
I was never sure it was, but it was definitely that shape. Felt like that shape.
But you testified in this courtroom that you had not.
It was definitely that shape. It felt like that shape. I want to go back to this picture. Maybe we'll show it again.
assaulted you with.
I was never sure it was, but it was definitely that shape.
Wait,
Felt like
I did rewind. Hold on. Okay, so if it was that bottle, Look, there's still alcohol in it. The cap's off. To be fair, you could say maybe after Johnny used it on her. Sorry, he ended up drinking from it, and that's why the cap's off. But even with the cap on, if he's there's still liquid in it. So if he's penetrating her with it, going back and forth, there would be splashing in the bottle, right? Like, I know you guys know what I'm talking about, but it would be like a super heavy glass bottle, and it'd be like splashing like this. She said she didn't even know it was a bottle. She thought at first like his fist was there. Like, you would fucking know. You would hear it. And then that way you would know it's not broken, right? If you hear the splashing and it's not just spilling all over inside you. Also, there's like that red rubbery stuff. The cap is hard. Like, it doesn't make any sense. But I think the liquid would be like just an obvious. It doesn't even seem like it would be possible. Like, how would he even? Oh, I mean, if he seriously, like, to do that to somebody, like, you would be bleeding a lot because you would have to really force it in there. There would be no lubrication with that rubber, and exactly, it would rip her apart. She would be bleeding. Even that on top of it, she wouldn't be able to walk from that. She wouldn't be able to walk from the cuts. And she didn't even take one fucking photograph. And this doesn't even include the beatings. And she's like bent over with the cutting on her feet. It's way too fucking much. It's crazy Hollywood.
This was the morning after Mr. Depp had allegedly sexually assaulted you, right?
It was the morning after he did assault me. Yes.
And if I understood your testimony correctly, you testified that this is the Maker's Mark bottle that Mr. Depp sexually assaulted you with.
I was never sure it was, but it was definitely that shape. Felt like that shape.
But you testified in this courtroom that you had not seen this bottle until Ben King provided these photographs, correct?
Not in the course of the trial. I hadn't seen the photograph.
You claim you had serious injuries after this alleged incident, right, Ms. Turd?
Oh, guys, by the way,
Depends on what you would call serious. For me,
depends on what you call serious. For me, my vag getting ripped open by a potentially broken glass bottle. Well, okay, I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. By a unbroken glass bottle, and my feet being sliced open by shards of glass while I'm being penetrated by this glass bottle, and being choked with like my back bent open or bent over a countertop, and being beaten in the face, and having glass being thrown at me. Yeah, like, I don't really consider that a serious injury. I don't know what like injuries you consider serious, but like, I'm just super tough. She is yo, dude. Another reason I wanted to go over this too is because it's been a year since the trial, right? And when I talk to people and something kind of like comes up, who knows what brings it up, but like I'll ask people, I'll be like, oh, did you watch like the trial? Like, so who do you believe? Like, do you think Amber is telling the truth? And no joke, all the people, they'll say like, oh, I watched some of the trial, or I saw it on the news. They all have said, every single one have said, yeah, I think Johnny abused her. Yeah, I feel bad. I feel so bad for her. And this is why I want to continue talking about this, because I want to make a video about all the media coverage that happened after the trial and how biased and just false, just blatant misinformation. And it's so crazy that like anybody who watched the trial says she's lying 100%. anybody who didn't watch the trial and got their information from like the news or clips and articles, like they're either kind of like, and they both seem abusive or they feel bad for Amber, which is like alarming to me. So like we cannot let this die down, like in my opinion, because it was when it was going on, it felt like such a like powerful movement for male DV and just DV in general. And honestly, like a lot of feminists came together to defend Johnny. Like it wasn't just this whole like feminist versus men thing. Like most feminists were defending Johnny because like true feminism is gender equality. So I don't know, it's just scary. It's actually scary how many people now, like a year later, believe her because they got so much misinformation.
You know, having a sore jaw and some bruises at the time of
Hold on, we have to get this full effect.
You claim you had serious injuries
So here.
after this alleged incident, right, Ms. Turd?
Depends on what you would call serious. For me, you know, having a sore jaw and some bruises at the time of my relationship wasn't that serious.
Okay, let's testify.
Relative.
Let's focus on the testimony that you gave about the
Psychotic.
Mr. Depp, as you testified yesterday, wears rings on every finger, right?
Sometimes, I mean, often, and certainly in the later part of our relationship, that was more normal than not. But if he's filming or something like that, of course, he's not going to have his own jewelry on.
Your testimony.
Oh, and when he beat
in
you,
this
he's
trial
filming
was,
while he beat you, right?
Quote, I don't know if I've ever known Johnny not to wear rings. Correct?
You need to put your microphone on, Miss. Thank you.
Objection.
Come on, Elaine.
Improper impeachment. If she's going to ask her a question, then she has to show where that was and then.
I'll overrule the objection. Go ahead.
Thank you. Your testimony yesterday was, quote, I don't know if I've ever known Johnny not to wear rings. Right, Ms. Turd?
That's what I testified to, yes.
Okay. And he was wearing rings on every finger in Australia, correct?
Not all the time, not literally every single ring every single day, but he often wears rings.
Not often, Ms. Hurd. Your words are, I've never known Johnny not to wear rings on every finger.
That is what I testified to.
Okay. And you testified that you bled as a result of this sexual assault, correct?
That is correct.
All right. And you testified that your forearms were cut.
My forearms and my feet.
And your feet were sliced up.
That's correct.
And you testified you had a bruise across your jaw.
That is correct.
And there is not a single medical record reflecting treatment for any of those injuries, is there, Ms. Hurd?
I didn't seek treatment.
And the day after you sustained all these injuries, Dr. David Kipper came to the house in Australia, right?
Well, he came the third day along with security.
The day after you sustained these injuries, Dr. David Kipper came along with nurse Debbie Lloyd, correct?
Well, that fight went into the morning, like early hour morning. So technically that last day.
Dr. David Kipper is Mr. Depp's, or was Mr. Depp's physician, right?
I believe he still is.
But
Yes.
he was at the time.
Yes, that's correct.
And he was also your physician.
He also saw me.
No, not saw you. He was your physician, correct, Ms. Hurd?
Johnny was the client, but he also treated me.
All right, let's please pull up. Do you remember giving testimony in this case in a deposition, Ms. Hurd?
Yes, I do. I've given a couple.
If we could please pull up the deposition transcript, day 2. At 589, lines 6 through 8. May I approach?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Your Honor, we're going to play Ms. Hurd's deposition for the jury. Lines day 2, page 540, lines 6 through 9. If we have permission to publish it.
You ought to give me a minute.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, day 2, page 589, lines 6 through 8.
All right, if you could just give us a minute to get
Of
there.
course.
589.
I'm sorry, what were the lines?
Page 589, lines 6 through 8.
Did you say 540 or 589?
589, lines 6 through 8.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I have no objection, Your Honor.
And he was your doctor at this point, right?
Yes, he was.
Debbie Lloyd also came to the house that day.
Yes, she came with Kipper.
Miss Lloyd is a nurse, correct?
That is correct.
Malcolm Connolly also came to the house that day.
Yes, that's correct.
Mr. Connolly is one of the security guards, correct?
That is correct.
You had known Mr. Connolly for years at that point.
Yes, that's correct.
You flew back to Los Angeles the next day with Ben King. Is that right?
I can't be certain if it was the next day or the day after, but somewhere around there, yes.
And the day you arrived back in Los Angeles, you saw Travis McGivern, correct?
I don't recall seeing Travis, no.
You don't recall Mr. McGivern picking you up from the airport with Ben King?
I don't remember that, no.
And the same day, you also saw your own nurse, Erin Barem Filati, that day, correct? The day you arrived in Los Angeles?
I don't recall if I saw her that day.
You saw Ms. Filati's testimony in this case by video deposition, correct?
That is correct.
And you heard her testify that she saw you the day you arrived back from Australia on March 9th, 2015.
I believe she testified that she came to dinner
They all saw her.
where I was with friends. Yeah, I believe that.
So she saw you that day.
I believe that evening I saw her at dinner.
And then you saw Erin Barem Filati again the next day for a private meeting, didn't you?
They all saw her the
I'm
morning
not sure
of
if
when they
that-
were
if
looking
that's what
for
she testified
Johnny's
to. I'd have to just see
finger.
the records to know.
You heard her testify, according to her notes. She met with you privately on March 10th, 2015.
She met with me at some point upon my arrival, but I don't remember the exact date.
And when you were in Australia, Ms. Heard, you didn't take any pictures of the injuries you claimed to have sustained, right?
I did not take any pictures, no.
But you did take two
It's
pictures.
insane.
Of the mirrors. I took 2 pictures of the bathroom mirrors. That was the master bathroom where I was.
Let's please pull up Defendant's Exhibit
Dude,
374, which is
Anytime, even if I get an injury from like a freaking, just not somebody, if I just
You
get
took
like
this
hurt,
picture, right,
sometimes I'll
Miss
just take
Yes,
pictures
that's
of it.
correct.
And this
But
is a mirror in the
especially
bathroom in
like if someone
Australia.
gets,
That's correct.
when I would get black eyes,
And
I
this black paint on the mirror is
pretty
from
much
Mr. Depp.
always took a
That
picture
is correct.
of the
You wrote on
serious
the mirror in
ones.
black paint after his finger was cut off, right?
Yes, I only know that because there was blood as well as paint.
So you took this picture after Mr. Depp had injured his fingers, correct?
This was while I was packing when I was leaving.
That's
That's
a
when I
yes,
took the
right,
photo.
Ms. Heard?
That's what's the question? I'm sorry.
You took this picture after Mr. Depp had injured his finger.
That's correct.
And you took this picture after you had allegedly been assaulted by Mr. Depp, yes?
That's correct.
Yet you didn't capture yourself in the mirror, did you?
I don't see myself in the mirror, no.
Let's please pull up Defendant's Exhibit 375.
She can't just say yes. She can't say, no,
You
I
took this
didn't.
picture as well,
I don't
right,
see
Ms. Heard?
myself in the
That's correct.
mirror.
And this is from one of the bathroom mirrors in Australia.
That's correct.
This is also a picture taken after Mr. Depp had injured his finger.
That's correct.
And this is also a picture taken after you had allegedly been assaulted by Mr. Depp.
That's correct.
You didn't capture yourself in the mirror in this picture either, did you?
I do not see myself in the mirror in that picture.
Is that because you didn't have any visible injuries on you?
It's because I was taking a picture of the writing.
Let's talk about the writing on this mirror. So the writing in black paint is from Mr. Depp, correct?
It's all from Mr. Depp.
And it's your testimony under oath that you did not write the red text that says,
Oh
quote,
my
call Carly
God.
Simon, she said it better, babe.
Dude,
That's-
you can just
that's
tell by the
correct.
handwriting.
Because if you did write that, it means that your husband was walking around the house bleeding from his amputated finger, and you're writing snarky messages to him on a mirror, right?
And you were writing
I don't
that
know what your question to me is, I'm
allegedly
sorry.
after you were assaulted. Oh, she doesn't know what the questions mean again. Anytime she doesn't have an answer, she's
Let's
like, I don't
take a look at Defendant's
understand.
Exhibit 1830.
Oh my God, she trying
I
not to
believe
let
this
her
pic-
get under
this
my
picture is
skin,
also
but
admitted in
it's
death.
too hard. It's too hard.
This is a picture of the same mirror, right?
That's correct.
But you didn't take this picture.
No, I did not.
This is the one that Ben King took.
And I don't see him in the mirror either.
I don't believe he claimed he had injuries, though. Is that right?
I did not hear Ben King talk about his injuries, no.
So you would agree, Ms. Heard, that the black text on the mirror says, quote, She loves naked photos of herself. So modern, so hot.
I had not read that yet. I mean, before, but yeah, that's what it says.
But you were taking pictures of the text, but you had not read that before?
I haven't seen this. It didn't make sense to me at the time when I read it in person.
Again, Mr. Depp wrote that.
I don't know who else would have.
So, Ms. Heard, just to be clear,
Maybe
your
you?
testimony that Mr. Depp also wrote the message in red about Carly Simon saying it better, right?
That's correct.
You know Carly Simon sang the song You're So Vain, right?
I was told that.
So it's your testimony that Mr. Depp was writing messages to himself in the mirror back and forth.
The best I can describe it is it looked like a crazy conversation. It was on the walls, it was
With
on
himself.
lampshades, it was on cushions.
It's your testimony, the crazy conversation was with himself.
That's what it looked like from the bloody messages I found.
And you would agree with me that in this photograph, the red text has been smudged with black paint, right?
Yes.
Let's please pull up, if we can, defendant's
Pull
exhibit
it up.
35,
Pull it
375 again.
Pull up the exhibits. Every time she pulls up an exhibit, she gets nervous and takes a sip from her water. I noticed that during her
Black smudge isn't in this picture that you took,
what's
right?
it called? The
That's correct.
So Mr. Depp must have not liked his own message to himself.
can't think of the
I'm not quite sure what was happening when Ben took his photograph. No.
Let's please pull up plaintiff's exhibit 343, which is already in evidence, and play the portion from 1:57:21
That's clearly such
through
different
1:58:54.
handwriting.
It's recorded.
Who
Your
does she
Honor.
think she's fooling?
It's not to give you
Herself?
It's just to get out of a bad situation while it's happening before it gets worse. In Australia, when we had the big fight where I lost the tip of my finger, at least
5 bedrooms.
5 bathrooms.
5
and 2
bathrooms, 2
that I went
bedrooms.
To
avoid talking to me. To
To
avoid
escape
working
Escape
out.
the fight. It's
That's
sad I have
escape
this
the
memorized.
fight.
You don't escape the fight. You escape
the
the solution.
solution.
You
No.
escape the solution.
No.
You escape figuring it out. We cannot work it out
If you
if you
run
run
away
away to the bathroom
every
every
time.
time.
Listen to me. Listen to me. A boxer can't go 12 rounds without a fucking minute break.
I'm not giving you a minute break. You do it at minute 3 at the beginning of an argument.
No.
Yeah, because you beat him
There are
up,
rounds,
dude.
man. And when it gets too fucking hairy,
Duh.
the ref splits them apart or
And that's
whatever,
what you
but
would do too if you were an
all I'm
actual
saying
abuse
is
victim. You would leave.
You can't have a solution if the argument just keeps mounting and mounting and mounting and mounting. I fucking go into the bathroom and sit on the floor. Bam, bam, bam. Here you come.
Crazy.
Come out. Fight. Crazy. Escalated. I go split again. I go to another fucking bathroom or a bedroom or something. Knock. Bang, bang, bang. You kept coming to
After
get
me.
me.
Every
This is what really
The
happened in
deposition.
Australia,
I
isn't it,
noticed in
Mr.
her deposition when she gets nervous, she
I
takes a
did
sip
knock
from the
on a
water.
bathroom door on the first night.
Not a bathroom door, 5 bathroom doors, and 2 bedrooms. Isn't
Johnny
that
is
right?
not an accurate historian of what happened during
Ms.
that
Heard, Ms.
period
Heard,
of time. I'll guarantee
Ms.
you
Heard, that's not my question. 5 bathroom doors, 2 bedrooms. That's what you knocked on.
that.
That's what actually happened in Australia, isn't it, Ms. Heard?
I was there.
So that's a
I
no?
remember it. I knocked on one bathroom door. I came on the first night after he decided to take the bag of MDMA.
Oh,
Ms.
And
the
I
Heard,
one that you
Ms. Heard,
kicked
I'm gonna
into
move to
his
strike
face
everything
and punched him
knock on
after?
One bathroom
She
door.
can't do that. She's answering the question.
Not quite, so I will sustain the objection.
Judge
to the two questions.
A.
Okay.
Oh, another terrible thing too. The crazy feminists
Recording
and
is
shit, the
recorded.
Amber Heard followers, the Amber Heard cult believers, they're coming after the judge, saying that she was like basically just like a Johnny Depp dick rider, and she hated Amber, she hates women, and she was this terrible biased judge. Dude, the judge was going easy on Elaine. Like, I honestly feel like she felt bad for Amber and Elaine because of how horrible the trial was going for them, and she was definitely like giving them more passes than Camille and Johnny's team because it was just so unbalanced. Like the judge let Amber and Elaine get away with so much more. She was a good, fair judge, like completely. She did not have it. Don't come for Judge A.
Exactly what happened in Australia. Mr. Depp lost the tip of his finger after you threw a bottle at him. Isn't that right?
That is incorrect.
You're the one who assaulted someone with a bottle.
My
in
cat's
Australia.
sitting next
Isn't
to
that
me in
right,
case,
sir?
like,
I didn't assault Johnny in
I'm just petting
Australia. I
her.
didn't assault Johnny ever. I couldn't.
And then after he was injured, he had to hide from you, right?
That is
In
incorrect.
5 bathrooms, 2 bedrooms.
That is incorrect.
And you would pursue him
That is incorrect.
because he was avoiding talking to you, right?
He did that first night when
he was
I tried to
avoiding-
talk to him about the drugs.
And he was avoiding working it out.
No, he was.
we cannot work it
avoiding
out if you run away to the
agreeing
bathroom every
to not
time.
Fight. Which I'm scared. One in which I love him very much.
I'm not talking about your mixed relationship. That night in Australia, after you cut off his finger with a bottle, you weren't scared of him at all.
She was
were you?
never scared of him.
This is a man who tried to kill me. Of course, it's scary. He's also my husband.
Hold on, one more time. That pathetic attempt of trying to sound afraid of him. Of course it's scary. She does this a couple times.
In Australia, after you cut off his finger with a bottle, you weren't scared of him at all, were you?
This is a man who tried to kill me. Of course, it's scary. He's also my husband.
Miss Turd, I'm going to show you what's
Another thing too. Hold on, I'm sorry, I'm gonna play one more time. Look at her turn to the jury, give her dramatic facial expressions, like, of course it's scary. And then as she turns back to Camille, you can see her face just change. And like she goes back to the intense, pissed off stare. One more time.
were you?
This is a man who tried to kill me. Of course, it's scary. He's also my husband.
Miss Turd, I'm going to show
Did you see that?
He's also my husband.
Miss Turd, I'm going to show you what's been marked
Ooh,
as defendant's exhibit.
that's horrifying.
371.
And Amber's a tall girl. Like, she is not a small, petite. I mean, she's skinny, but like, she's tall.
Do not believe these have been admitted into evidence.
So much anger.
I don't have.
If we can scroll down, please. No.
Ms. Bretterhoff, if you don't have your microphone on, I cannot hear you.
Oh my god. That's
You still don't
Elaine's
have-
just as manipulative. She was doing that shit on purpose too.
I need to take a look at the unredacted for a minute, Your Honor.
Her interviews after
I'm
the
not
whole
admitting
trial,
it into
so
evidence yet. I would like to
so
just
manipulative.
talk to the witness about
I
it.
read the
Thank you,
entire
Your Honor.
130-page UK judgment. That's another thing I want to
Miss Turd, I'm
cover
going to show
because
you what's been
that
marked
in
as
itself
defendant's
is
exhibit
fucking
371. Do you
unbelievable.
recognize these text messages between you and Dr. Cowan?
I don't recognize these, no.
Who's Dr. Cowan?
He was my therapist that was recommended to me from Dr. Kipper. He and Dr. Kipper worked together.
He was your therapist at the time, correct?
That's correct.
And you had been seeing him for almost a year in March of 2015?
My guess would be about 6 months at that point.
Your text messages are in gray, correct?
Your Honor, I'm going to ask that she show her the unredacted so that she can see the text exchange back
All
and
right,
forth
if you
if she
can-
wants to talk about
Absolutely.
All right, we'll
moving
pull
in
that up. Sure.
redacted later.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Pull it up.
Oh, of course she didn't say she was scared. She cannot admit that she was scared of him. Her ego cannot admit it, even to save herself in this
Seeing these
trial.
unredacted messages,
She
does this
cannot
refresh your
admit that she was
recollection
scared of
these are
him.
indeed communications between you and Dr. Cowan?
That's honestly, in my opinion too, that's one of the best parts of her deposition is when Johnny's lawyer is trying to get Amber to say the same thing. Were you scared of the monster? And she refused. Or her lawyer, Johnny's lawyer, was trying to get Amber to admit that Amber was petrified of Johnny Depp. And Amber refused to admit it. She just kept saying, I was petrified of the monster. I was not petrified of Johnny Depp. She refused to admit that she was scared of him. She kept going on and on and on. There was like a whole 20-minute section of her refusing to admit that she was scared of Johnny. That's how fucking prideful and egotistical and narcissistic she is. She is delusional. It would have been so much easier for her to just say, yes, I was petrified of him. It would have been so much better for her. And she refused. It's crazy.
Yes, that's correct.
Doctor,
Yeah,
your
move
text
it.
messages are in gray, correct?
She's pushing me off the bed.
Yes, that's correct.
And Dr. Cowan's are in blue?
That is correct.
Do you
My
see the
cat
text
has the
message
whole
at the
bed to
bottom
sit
of
on,
the
and she
page
sits
from
right
March
under me. Like,
2015 at
space.
8:29 p.m.?
Yes, that's correct.
March 8th is the day that you were allegedly sexually assaulted by Mr. Depp in Australia, correct?
That is correct.
So on March 8th, 2015, you were in Australia,
That is correct.
and Mr. Depp's finger had just been cut off, right?
That is correct.
And you write to Dr. Cowan, quote, I feel so lost. I can't talk. I don't know if I'll ever be able to change, end quote. Did I read that correctly?
That's correct.
You weren't able to change, were you, Ms. Heard?
I very much wanted to leave the relationship I was in, but I didn't have the power. I didn't feel I had the power to leave. I knew I was in a very toxic relationship with Johnny, and I knew I needed to change that. I knew it was, at this point, horrible for me. And I
I'm gonna
talked to
move
my
to
therapist.
Yeah.
Exhibit,
Nobody cares.
Defendant's Exhibit 371 as redacted with just Ms. Heard's messages.
All right.
Your Honor, I object because she has left out the next two lines from Ms. Heard that clarify even further, and I also think
Ms.
that Dr.
Bredehoff,
Cowan's.
Could you
Your
sit
Honor,
and
may
just-
Yeah,
you
shut
please
the
go to
fuck
this
up,
is-
Elaine. This is another thing she does. Elaine does all the time. She does it on purpose. That's probably why Amber chose her as a lawyer, because Elaine's just as fucking manipulative as she is. It's crazy. I can't believe, like, this is why it's crazy to say the judge wasn't fair, because Elaine cheated so many times, even in closing arguments. She brought up things that they agreed to not bring up. Like, it's infuriating. Because, like, she's obviously a big time lawyer, like, and she knows this shit. She plays dumb too, just as much as Amber. They have the same tactics. It's crazy.
So, Your Honor, I'm going to move to admit Defendant's Exhibit 371 as redacted.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I could be skipping
Anyone
over
at
this. My
evidence?
bad. I just remember
I don't know
watching
if
it
I'll ever
live.
be able to change. Right?
And I said, I clearly can't figure this out in the relationship.
You didn't say that. You
I
said
did.
not the relationship. Your text messages. Clearly, I can't figure this out. I feel so lost right now.
what I was saying to him.
No,
was
Miss
clearly I
Heard,
can't
Miss
figure
Heard,
this
Miss
out
Heard,
as in
that's
the
not my question.
relationship.
The text, just the text.
That's
What
exactly
you
what I was saying.
What you texted. Clearly, I can't figure this out. I feel so lost right now.
That's
That's
what
right.
I was saying.
Okay. Thank you.
Should we listen to what she was saying actually in real time? Let's listen to a bit of the Australia audio real quick. We're not going to play all of this, just some of what Amber was saying literally the morning of the Australia incident.
What you are and who you are and how you fucked me over and make me feel sick of myself.
Let's listen to what Amber's saying.
Didn't find it. All right, there. My advice. Amber's got to take care of herself. They're going to take care of it. They can't leave you at the house and survive. So, however, Amber, I think she should be on Amber. And this after us first. This is not going to be 2 days.
She's gonna become really combative. So remember Amber was trying to say like, oh, they didn't see me. They would have saw all these nurses and doctors would have seen all these injuries on Amber. But they're saying she's not the problem. She's gonna become super combative. They know what's going on. They're doctors and shit. They're not Johnny's employees. Like technically Johnny employed them to be their doctor, but like they can't just ignore if Amber had like these insane injuries that she's alleging. They would not just ignore her. They're looking for his finger. Okay, let's listen to what she says here. It's hard to hear, but you can hear it with headphones.
Oh, Sarah? Yeah. I'll be okay with 100.
She's clearly crying. I could definitely make out some of those words. I couldn't make out all of them, but she's clearly upset and crying and upset that Johnny is going to be mad at her and it's her fault, which is exactly what these text messages reflect that Camille is showing. I don't feel like I hear that. Did I do this? The whole floor? Yeah, he painted all over the house. Look at how they talk about her. She wants to stay here with him. She keeps She's crying, holding his hand. I've never seen him this hurt ever. He wrecked the place. There's a TV. I know she did it. There was a cup thrown. Damn. Finally, this audio was allowed in court. They talk about those cuts on her arms later, too. The guy talking right now is actually deceased. She admits she hit him. She hit him twice. He put a cigarette out on his own face. Which is crazy because she alleges that he put a cigarette out on her, which is my theory. I think she took injuries that he had and she claimed that he did them to her. All right, so we'll go back to the thing, but I just think this is crazy. Like, oh, let's just go to this last part where Amber's in it. All I was popping was Xanax, Adderall, ecstasy, and hallucinogens. That's it. Not the coke, but not the coke. Not the cocaine. Just Xanax, Adderall, ecstasy, and hallucinogens. Like, what the fuck? And she's on, like, medications, like psych meds. Yo, right there, right there. I hate that he hates me. I hate that I'm the one that sets off. I don't want to be like that. She's downplaying it all. All right. That's what you're worried about right now? So did you hear that? Okay, let's go back now. This is the perfect time to go back. She said, I'm really lost. Exactly what these text messages are saying.
Ms. Turd, you contend.
Your Honor, just
I feel so lost right now. I can't figure this out. I don't know if I'll be able to change exactly what she just said in the actual day of the Australia audio. There you have it.
Ms. Turd, you contend.
Your Honor, just for clarification, so those two next lines did come in.
They are in the redacted.
Okay, good. All right, thank you.
You and Ms. Turd took place on March 23rd, 2015?
That's correct.
And this supposedly occurred in the penthouse at the Eastern Columbia building?
That's correct.
You had found text messages between Mr. Depp and
I'm still
another
here.
woman,
I'm just going
right?
off camera for a second.
That is correct.
So you confronted him about cheating on you.
That's correct.
And this was about 2 weeks after you had returned from Australia.
That's correct.
So this is shortly after Mr. Depp supposedly sexually assaulted you with a bottle, right?
It was 2 weeks after he assaulted me, yes.
And you decided to confront him about cheating on you?
I didn't decide to.
She can never say yes for the hard questions. She can't just like say
Mr. Depp's
yes. She
finger
has to
was
do a
freshly
roundabout
injured at this
answer.
point, right?
He had a cast on it.
The top of his right finger had been cut off 2 weeks prior.
That is correct.
And he had a pin in his finger. True?
I don't recall when the pin was placed.
A skin graft?
I'm not quite sure. He had several different procedures and they were kind of spread out over a period of time. So I don't remember what happened and when
One of those
exactly.
procedures was to treat the MRSA that got on his finger too, right?
At some point, I knew he had an infection.
And his right hand was in a bandage, right?
It was casted.
So it's your testimony that Mr. Depp was able to attack both you and your sister with his hand in that state, right?
That is correct. He had a hard plaster cast on it.
Debbie Lloyd was present in the penthouses when Mr. Depp supposedly attacked you. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
In fact, you claim that Mr. Depp threw a Red Bull can at Miss Lloyd that evening.
Yes, that's correct.
And you put in a sworn statement to that effect in the UK case, right?
That is correct.
But that's not true, is it?
That's what happened.
You know what a deposition is, right, Ms. Turd?
I've had several, yes.
Yeah, so you know what it's when someone provides testimony under oath.
That is correct.
You're aware that Miss Lloyd was deposed in connection with this case, correct?
That is true.
And Miss Lloyd's deposition testimony was played earlier in this trial, right?
I'm going to object, Your Honor. May we approach?
All right.
So in a deposition, Ms. Heard.
Look at those fucking rings, yo. Dude, that's like worse than hitting somebody with brass knuckles. It's like heavier and like pointier. Like, it's crazy.
You know it's when someone provides testimony under oath, right?
That's correct.
And you're aware that Ms.
She would
Lloyd-
have lacerations on her face. Her eye would be like busted out. Her jaw would be displaced. She would probably lose teeth. She would be black and blue all over. Like, she'd probably be dead based on the way she described the abuse allegations that she claims. You could not go out the next day to be photographed by high resolution, flash, professional quality photography. Like, no. You're crazy. She's crazy.
Lloyd was deposed in connection with this case.
That's correct.
And Ms. Lloyd's deposition testimony was played earlier in this trial.
Yes.
So you heard Ms. Lloyd testify under oath that Mr. Depp never threw a can of Red Bull at her.
I can't remember if she didn't recall that or if she said it didn't happen. I don't remember. I vaguely sense she didn't recall anything.
She did say that a lot to Amber's
So it's your
defense.
testimony that Ms. Lloyd
She
would
didn't
forget
she didn't
that
remember a
Mr.
lot.
Depp, a very famous patient of hers, threw a can of Red Bull that nearly missed her, according
I
to
don't know if
her
she forgot
version
that
of
part. I don't
events.
think she did, but
To be fair, I just don't remember if she said when she testified that she didn't recall that incident or if it didn't happen. I don't remember what she testified to, but I have a vague sense that she didn't recall much at all.
She recalled and she testified in this courtroom that Mr. Depp never threw a can of Red Bull at her. That was her testimony, wasn't it?
I don't recall what her testimony was with regards to that one incident, no.
You actually filed a complaint against Ms. Lloyd's nursing license right before she was supposedly deposed in this case, didn't you?
ooh.
No, I don't believe I did.
Are you aware that someone filed a complaint against Ms. Lloyd's nursing license in connection with her care of Mr. Depp for failing to report abuse?
No, I had no idea. You're the first person to let me know about that.
It's your testimony under oath, that wasn't you?
That is my testimony. I didn't even know about that until now.
Oh my god, if I was Johnny, I would not be able to
Travis
sit there
McGivern was also
quietly
present
and
when Mr. Depp
calmly. Like, I would
supposedly attacked
lose my
you,
mind.
correct?
He walked in at some point.
And you heard his testimony that it was actually you who punched Mr. Depp. Isn't that right?
It's always been my own testimony that I hit Johnny.
And you who was throwing things at Mr. Depp.
I hit him in defense of my sister. I didn't have anything to throw at him. I never threw anything at him. I hit him when he attacked me and my sister, specifically when he moved for her. That's
I
when
used to
hit him.
feel bad for Whitney, but I
It's your
don't.
testimony under
anymore.
oath. You threw nothing at Mr. Depp. Mr. McGivern's lying.
I have thrown things at Johnny,
No,
to
no.
be clear,
Not
but not
thrown
that
things.
occasion.
That evening.
Not that occasion. Not on that occasion.
So it's your testimony, Mr. McGivern. Imagine that you were throwing things at Mr. Depp from the mezzanine level down towards where Mr. Depp and Mr. McGivern were standing.
Well, he certainly wasn't going to say it about his client.
This is another thing. The fact that Amber keeps suggesting that Johnny's witnesses will lie for him doesn't help her, because it suggests that it basically means like she expects his witnesses to lie for him. So that means that like her witnesses would lie for her too. Right? Like she thinks that people just regularly lie on the stand for the people they're testifying for. So she thinks that's normal. So clearly like she would expect her witnesses to lie for her too. Which they probably would, to cover their own asses, because remember, they already testified in a previous trial. So if they testify to a different story, they're going to commit a whole lot of perjury in depositions, in the other court case. Yeah, it wouldn't be good. So they're all of her witnesses, if they testified before, which was mostly the same witnesses, they would have to keep the same story to cover their own asses.
Ms. Turd, you and Mr. Depp kept a journal together, didn't you?
Yes, we did.
You wrote each other messages in that journal, right?
That is true.
I wonder if it says, I feel so
Please
lost.
pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 91. I'm only going to be showing you certain portions of this, so if we could please call this Plaintiff's Exhibit 91A. This is the journal that you and Mr. Depp kept with each other in electronic form, correct?
That is correct.
And if we could scroll through, these are all entries that you made in the journal, correct?
That is correct.
Is it done?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I'm going to move for the admission of Plaintiff's Exhibit 91A, and I've gone ahead and redacted Mr. Depp's writings as on hearsay grounds.
I'm going to object, Your Honor. May we-
Okay.
Wow, Elaine's actually not doing a speaking what's it called? Can't even think of the word right now. Objection.
First page, it's a picture.
Your Honor,
It's a picture.
they haven't given me the pages yet. Your Honor.
Thank you.
Over objection.
This is a picture that's on the inside cover of the Love Notebook, correct?
Pisses me off. Like,
And this is a picture of you and Mr.
she
Depp.
literally had Johnny Depp in love
You're
with
in
her,
Australia in this picture, aren't
and
you?
she threw it
Yes,
away
that's much
and ruined
later
it.
once we returned.
Dude,
You can see that Mr. Depp's right hand is bandaged, right?
do you know what I would do to
Yes,
Johnny
that's
Depp's
correct. That was
fucking
after it had
wife?
recovered significantly. That's not what it looked like during the incident we were just talking about.
So this is a picture after the events in Australia in March of 2015, correct?
Yeah, yes, that photograph was taken
He
months
said there was
later.
never a plaster hard
Can you have the director
cast
of that
on it,
photograph again, please?
which makes sense.
Let's now turn to page 3. This is a note you wrote in the journal to Mr. Depp, correct?
That's what it looks like, yes.
This is actually the first note you wrote to him in this journal.
I don't remember what the first note was.
Bitch, just say yes. Can you just say
Date on
yes
this
to
note
one
is
question?
May 22nd, 2015, correct?
That is correct. That was during our honeymoon period.
This is just a little bit over 2 months after the events in Australia in March of 2015, right?
That's correct. We were back in a honeymoon phase. That was the period of sobriety I spoke about yesterday.
When Mr. Depp, after Mr.
Oh,
Depp
the
had
honeymoon that you
allegedly
beat him
assaulted you
up
with a bottle,
during?
right?
It was after the stairs and it was after the Australia incident, yes.
Then
And he
it's-
got clean and sober and we went back to
You
Australia.
It's
married
also 2
him
months after
after the
because you
Australia
punched Mr.
thing?
Depp because you allegedly thought he was going to throw your sister down the stairs, right?
I hit him when he swung
Wedding
my
off.
sister.
Like,
And this is written months later, yes.
You thought he was going to throw your sister down the stairs like he had thrown Kate Moss down the stairs, right?
He swung at Whitney, and I had heard a rumor.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. Look, I was in a domestic violence relationship. It was not as brutal as Amber is claiming, but it was bad nonetheless. Every DV relationship is unacceptable. But so I know what it's like to stay in a violent relationship that you know is bad for you, and you stay, and it's hard. I understand that. But to marry the person after the bottle penetration, the beatings, the intense beatings, and then attacking your sister that Amber claims to like want to defend with all of her being, even though she hurts her the most, and you marry him a month or two later. I understand you might stay, but anybody would call the wedding off, move the wedding date back. Like, no, you just wouldn't marry that person right away after that. Like,
Rumor, a vague rumor about that. And so it's what I thought of.
In this first message to Mr. Depp in your journal, you write, quote, "True love isn't about just the madness of passion or instead picking the safety of peace. No, it's about having both, falling madly in love with your friend. That is what has surprised me perhaps the most, that I have seen in you the true bones of friendship and respect. But of course, I still, perhaps more than ever, want to rip you apart, devour you, and savor the taste.
love
Fret
isn't
not.
about the safety of
XX
peace.
Slim."
Yes, it's a love note.
Did I read that correctly?
Yes, you did.
And you're Slim, right?
That's correct.
Ms. Turd, I'm now going to ask you to take a look at the very last entry you wrote in this journal,
that-
which seems to
that-
be from April 8th.
Dumb face that she makes, like the play dumb face. Like, what? Huh? Moo. Oh my god, my cat is literally kicking me off the edge of the bed. I'm like barely sitting on it. She's like pushing me off.
That would be April 8th, 2016, correct?
I'm not quite sure. I don't see the year written on there, and I don't recognize it yet.
It would be a couple weeks. April 8th would be a couple weeks before your birthday, though, right?
That's correct.
Just to confirm, this is a note you wrote to Mr. Depp, right?
That's what it looks like, yes.
And on the second page of this note, you wrote the following. Quote, "I'm sorry I can get crazy. I'm sorry I hurt you. Like you, I can get wicked when I am hurt, when I feel provoked, shattered. And last night I was. I felt abandoned about the Lily Rose thing, felt absolutely bewildered about your not coming home on my last night here, and was heartbroken and angry after many attempts in vain on my part to rectify the situation and make amends on the last night of what was otherwise a gorgeous trip with you. I'm so sorry for my part. None of this is meant to be an excuse for hurting you, because the truth is, nothing is. There is never a reason good enough to hurt you. You are the last thing in the whole world who deserves it. Last person I ever met.
How is she going to defend
I love
this?
you, Steve. I am forever yours, Slim." Did I read that correctly?
That's correct.
Mm-hmm. Not much to say about that.
Ms. Hurd, let's take a look at Defendant's Exhibit 423, which is already in evidence.
I love the exhibits. Keep bringing the exhibits.
This is a picture of you with what appears to be straight red marks on your arms, correct?
Those are scars from the broken glass.
And they're straight and red, right?
This is what Jerry
I
testified.
disagree with how you characterize that, but they are red.
How
yes.
else could
And
you
they're on your left
characterize
arm?
that? They're straight and fucking red.
Yes, that's correct.
How else would you fucking
Sir, you have a
characterize
history of
that?
cutting yourself, don't you?
I do not.
You cut your arm once as a teenager, isn't that right?
No, I said I wanted to. When I was put on birth control pills when I was a teenager, I felt crazy, and I said I felt suicidal.
So it's your testimony under oath that you didn't report to Dr. Hughes, your retained psychologist, that you had cut yourself as a teenager once?
I said I had told my mom that I wanted to when I was a teenager.
Ms. Hurd, we heard some testimony from you yesterday about a trip you and Mr. Depp took on a train in Southeast Asia. Do you recall that?
Yes, that's correct.
That was when you and Mr. Depp went on your honeymoon trip, correct?
That's correct.
And that was in July of 2015?
Yes, that sounds right.
Let's take a look at Plaintiff's Exhibit 162, which is already in evidence. You were here in this courtroom, right, Ms. Heard, when Malcolm Connolly testified to taking this picture?
That's correct.
This is the picture. This picture shows an injury to Mr. Depp's face, doesn't it?
I disagree. I've seen this picture.
Okay, Ms. Heard,
I've seen
I
this
got the
picture
answer. Thank
before, and
You
he's
disagree?
not injured in it.
He's not injured in this picture.
Mhm.
That's your testimony. Fine.
This one is Photoshop.
Ms. Heard, I have your answer. Thank you. This is the only photograph from your honeymoon that shows someone with an injury, correct?
That's not true.
We haven't seen any photos of injuries to your face from that train trip, have we?
I don't believe my face was injured on that trip.
Let's take a look at Exhibit 91A at page 46, going back to the Love Journal. This is a note from you to Mr. Depp, right?
That is correct.
This is a note you wrote on July 22nd, 2015.
That is correct.
And it starts off with the words, "My husband, happy honeymoon," right?
That's correct.
Ms. Heard, please take a look at Plaintiff's Exhibit 91A at page 67. This is another note from you to Mr. Depp in your journal, right?
That is correct.
And this one is dated August 1st, 2015.
That's correct.
And you write, "That's enough. You've held this book hostage long enough. Although I can't wait to read my note, I also couldn't wait to tell you how much I adore you. What a beautiful, extraordinary, magical, memorable, wonderful, stunning, surprisingly evolving, and impulsive adventure. I couldn't have imagined a more gorgeous honeymoon. I love you more and more every passing day. XX Slim." Did I read that right?
That is correct.
Let's take a look at the journal entry starting on page 68. This is another entry from you writing to Mr. Depp, right?
That is correct.
And this one's dated August 2nd.
That is correct, yes.
And this one is a longer one, so let's go to where it ends on page 70 of the journal. And you write, quote, "I hope that things said in anger and pain were just that, and that you miss and love me too. And that is what matters most to you. You may say you stand by everything you said and did, and that there is nothing you can learn from this, but I don't feel that way. And it's important for me that you know that. I love you and I'm sorry. I miss my warm, loving husband. XX Slim."
That is correct.
And sad, the word sad is crossed out.
That is true.
Next, we have a journal entry from you on page 89. This is another note from you to Mr. Depp.
That is correct. The whole book is love notes.
So this is dated August 15th, correct?
That is correct.
And here you write, quote, "My love, why do we fight? Ever? Why? I love you more than anything else. Are we that uncomfortable with being vulnerable? Were we scared? Or is it something else? I don't know. But I am sure of one thing, and if it's that I can't imagine my life without you. I love you. I will do better. I am sorry. X Slim." Did I read that correctly?
That is correct.
Your testimony, this was a love journal.
That is correct. It was primarily love notes and
And apology notes from you to Mr. Depp.
The book was more of a love note book, and part of that communication, obviously, since we fought so much, it was important for me to, try to nurture as much peace as we possibly could. And when things were good, they were really good.
And it was also an opportunity for you to apologize to Mr. Depp for your behavior, isn't it?
I think it's important in every relationship to apologize when you're trying to move past fights.
Let's look at an entry from August 17, 2015, starting on page 90. Here you write, quote, "I'm sorry I shook the wheels so hard. I'm sorry we've tested the shocks and brakes to this point. God damn, I love you, Johnny. I love you. I am tied to you forever. You know that? So I'm tasked with making this work for that reason and many others, of which there are many. Let me try to fix this. Let me try to patch this. Let me try to make your heart better. You deserve it. Hell, maybe even I do. I need you. We need each other. You're my cornerstone, my heart, my all. You are my life. I hate it when we fight. I hate having you hurt. I hate that you're hurting. I love you more than anything. Let me prove it. I need you. I love you. Slim." Did I read that correctly?
Yeah, another example of me trying to fix it. I was always trying to fix it.
Fix it by apologizing for your bad behavior?
I tried everything. I tried apologizing. I tried reading. I tried therapists. I tried everything to fix
But
it.
yet you couldn't change like you told Dr. Cowan, right?
I couldn't change my relationship.
Let's talk about December 15th, 2015 again.
The fuck?
Aaron
Sorry.
Filati,
My Twitch
your
stream
personal
is
nurse,
like
saw you
named
2 days after the
not the
incident on
right
December
name.
15th, 2015. Isn't that right?
She did not see me as in a medical visit. She just dropped off meds in the late at night.
She saw you personally, though,
She
right?
physically saw me, but did
Yeah.
not see me in a medical sense, the way a doctor might see a patient. She did not see me in that way.
She was your personal nurse, right?
She was a nurse assigned to me. I didn't hire her. Johnny did.
She was assigned to you. And so when she would see you, it would be physically in person in your home and traveling, correct?
She would sometimes see me as like a medical professional would, and then other times she would just drop off meds and physically see me, like as in with her eyes.
You testified that during the incident on December 15th, 2015, Mr. Depp broke the bed, correct?
That is correct.
And more specifically, you described
This part's great.
that he broke the bed frame with his boot while trying to get purchase. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Let's take a look at
Which
defendant's
was proven
exhibit
impossible
509
by,
Jordan Evans.
oh my god, what's his name? Law and Lumber. Shout out, Law and Lumber.
If we could please have that published to the jury. Thank you.
It would be impossible for him to
Sir, this is a picture that you
broken
indicated depicts the broken bed,
the bed
right?
with his boot like that.
That's exactly it.
And it's your testimony that Mr. Depp caused this damage to the bed with his boot, right?
He did.
How would a boot even
Is there
do
a
that?
pocket knife on the bed there?
I cannot tell what's on the bed.
Yep.
Did you use that to damage?
Oh.
I did not damage the bed. Johnny's boot did when he was punching me. I could feel him slipping.
Damn. Go back, show Amber. I
Sir,
want
you
to
also
see her.
testified that there was blood all over the
gross
pillows
shit.
on the bed, correct?
On the pillow top, yes, that's correct.
But you didn't take a picture of that,
A
though,
boot
did
would
you?
never do that.
I
Dude,
did
she's
not
a
take a picture of
psycho.
this.
She did this on. She
About a
looks like
week
she's about to
after the
cry.
December 15th, 2015 incident, you went with Mr. Depp and his children to the island of the Bahamas. Is that correct? To celebrate Christmas?
Mm-hmm.
The incident was on the 15th, and we went on the 23rd, I believe.
I think she's about to cry
While
and
you were
she's
there,
trying
you
to
did a
hold it
photo
in.
shoot
That's why
with
she was
Turd
like
Williams, correct?
fluttering her eyes and
A few days later, I think the photo shoot was about 2 weeks
making the
after
confused
this
face.
assault.
Let's please pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 99.
That's bad. That's very bad.
This is a photograph of you on Mr. Depp's island shortly after December 15th.
Oh, Johnny Depp
2015,
sits like I
correct?
do.
No, this was taken
My friends
weeks
always
later.
yell at me because they think I'm like flipping them off.
On the island, on that
I'll
trip.
like sit with
It
my
was
finger
taken
like
on the
that.
island.
On that trip.
Yes.
Weeks later.
Weeks later.
December 15th. You traveled to the island December 23rd. That's your
It's
testimony?
my recollection that this picture was taken on New Year's Eve or the first day of the year. I think New Year's Eve.
And this is the photo shoot with Greg Williams, correct?
That is correct.
I'm going to move to admit and publish.
No objection?
All right, 99, we can publish.
Okay, so I might go for another. We're coming up on like 2.5 hours.
Can we
So
please
I
have
might go for like another
zoom into Ms. Heard's face?
10-15 minutes to make it like around 2.5 hours and finish the stream another time. Otherwise, this is going to be way too long. Actually, we
Please
can
pull up
skip through all
Plaintiff's
these
Exhibit 100.
pictures. Basically, it's just like clear pictures of her face, clearly not bruised and battered.
At 100.
Shoot that you asked me about earlier, and this is several weeks later. This is the same photo shoot that you asked me about earlier, and this is several weeks later.
Right. If we could zoom in on Ms. Heard's face. Let's please pull up photo shoot, Ms. Heard. Zoom in, excuse me, Tom, on Ms. If we could please pull up photo shoot.
Thing, but I can't really tell without it being
This
zoomed
is a-
out.
This is a picture of you, though, right?
It is a picture of me, yes.
I'm going to move to admit. Again, if we could zoom in on Ms. Heard's face. Again, if we could zoom in on that you and Mr. Depp got into a fight while on the island December of 2015, correct?
That's correct.
And this all started because you perceived Mr. Depp as nodding off during the trip, right?
I thought he was passing out again in a similar fashion to what he had done the previous year.
And when he nodded off, he spilled wine on you, correct?
Yeah, 2-3 times in a row.
You testified that Mr. Depp's son, Jack, was there when this happened, right?
At the beginning, he was there.
He was there when Mr. Depp allegedly spilled wine on you.
2-3 times in a row. Why would you
He was
continue
there
to
for
sit
that,
next to
as
him
he
after
offered
he
me help.
spilled the wine on you like that and he was
He also
falling asleep?
testified that Mr. Depp then sexually
Take the
assaulted
cup
you
out
in
of his
the
hand,
bathroom.
put it on the fucking
Correct?
table, or don't
That's
sit next to him.
And you testified that after this, you needed to get away from him, right?
That is correct.
So you ran out of the house.
That's correct.
And you admit you threw something at him, right?
I did throw something in at him to get away.
Get
You sat
away.
in this courtroom
To get
when
away
Tara
from
Roberts
a
testified, right? Ms. Heard?
Sleeping husband.
I did.
She's Mr. Depp's manager on the island.
Yes, that's correct.
You heard her testify that she witnessed an argument between you and Mr. Depp on the island in December of 2015, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
And you heard her testify that Mr. Depp was trying to escape you, right?
I don't know if she characterized it like that, but that was the gist of it.
Stop with
She
your
kind of
characterization.
misrepresented it to seem like that. Yes,
She misrepresented
She
it.
misrepresented
How
it.
convenient.
that's correct.
Okay, and then you kept apologizing to
That was
Mr.
my
Depp,
thought,
right? That's what
exact thought.
No, that's
Ms.
not
Roberts
correct.
said. Begging him to come back to the house with you.
That's not correct.
Clawing at him. She used those words.
That's not correct. When she interrupted us, Johnny had me by the hair.
Yelling at him.
We were screaming, both of us, but I don't know what she would have heard.
And that she observed an injury on Mr. Depp's nose from something that you threw at him, right?
I don't know what she observed.
You also heard Ms. Roberts testify that she included all this information in a sworn statement in the UK in May of
If you hear
2020.
noises,
Is that
it's
right?
starting to rain
That
and
is
it's
correct.
the raindrops landing on my air
You put in
conditioner.
a
Sorry.
statement in response to Ms. Roberts' statement in June of 2020. Isn't that correct? In the UK?
I did several, I think 7 witness statements, and each one contained different information as per recent filings. That's what counsel has you do in that.
And in response to
case.
previous filings, correct? Including testimony from people that contradict your story?
Sort of. So what you have to do is your counsel asks you to respond to things and you put it in a declaration of sorts. And that happens back and forth over the course of preparing to go to trial in that country. And that's what I did.
So that was your 5th witness statement submitted in the UK.
I don't recall which one I was asked to comment on Tara Roberts' testimony.
I'll remind you. If we could have Ms. Heard's 5th witness statement
Reminder.
in the UK.
Don't worry, anything you forget. Camille has plenty of reminders in that superstar all white
Thank you.
head turner of an outfit. Camille's a boss. Just saying. Just a reminder in case anybody forgot.
Directing your attention, Ms. Heard, to page 6 of your 5th witness statement. It's here that you describe the December 2015 incident, correct, on the island?
I haven't read through the statement. I just don't know if I had commented on it before. In a previous witness statement, as I said, there were several.
But starting on page 6, Ms. Heard, you describe the incident that took place on the island, correct?
That's correct, but what I'm trying to say is
I
I'm not sure if
understand.
I describe it in full in this statement.
I'm going to show you your confidential schedule to the 5th witness statement that accompanied the 5th witness statement in the UK.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
One, on page 20, you describe Mr. Depp sexually assaulting you in the Bahamas of December 2015, right?
That is correct.
And that's the first time you ever claimed that Mr. Depp had sexually assaulted you in the Bahamas.
That is incorrect.
You only submitted the confidential schedule in the UK claiming Mr. Depp had sexually assaulted you after Miss Roberts had said that she saw you on the island chasing, clawing at Mr. Depp. Isn't that correct?
That is incorrect.
We could please pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 394. So, Your Honor, this is another recording I can represent to the court. This only contains Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard's voices. I'm going to move to admit the entire recording. I'm only going to play from 1:17:44 through 1:20:02.
All right, any objection?
Which plaintiff exhibit you're on? I'm sorry.
394.
394.
I will say the recordings are great, but
I think
I've listened to them.
I'll go with
There were
that.
better parts that they
394
could have played, honestly. I wish they played more of them. There was a lot more damaging parts, which I'm going to release on my channel, so stay tuned.
What things have you been doing?
Working on this thing, not doing certain things, trying to change. Yes, last several times.
Hence, screaming when I spilt wine accidentally on you for falling asleep, and screaming in front of my kids and freaking Jack out. And that's trying.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, Johnny.
That fucked him up, you know.
I'm sorry I fucked your son up.
No, it weirded him out. It never.
I'm so sorry I fucked your kids up.
Didn't fuck my kids up.
Even that's fucking manipulative.
It was pretty fucking weird for him, you know.
Because I jumped up and screamed and I wanted to come. That's amazing.
Yeah.
You're right. I'm really surprised he's. So you're going for the countdown. I'm sure that's terrible.
I don't need your
No,
your clever comebacks.
I'm
No.
horrified for
You
her
think you're
child.
controlling yourself?
You
think you're controlling yourself?
Characters become so clear, especially when you use them. It's embarrassing for you. I'm gonna walk away now because you're actually making me see even worse. And believe me, I'm not gonna be calling you at 3 o'clock in the morning after I've been Ambien and think, oh, I'm gonna just fucking forgive and move on. Trust me, it's gross. I nothing. But
Oh
we
my
have to act in a good way. And you take that for granted, fine. Fine. You're right. Meet a woman who would not jump up and scream if she had been spilled on 3 times in a row. And I hope you're happy with whoever that is. Because that would be a special kind of fucking person.
The audacity after what she fucking puts him through.
It's you and Mr. Depp in that recording, right?
That's correct.
And you're discussing what happened in the Bahamas in December of 2015, right?
No, that's not correct. We were discussing a part of it.
You're discussing.
Oh my god, she can't
when you
just
screamed
fucking
at Mr.
say
Depp in front of
yes.
his children, correct?
No, we were talking about a part of that argument.
Including when you
Just say
screamed at
yes,
Mr.
you
Depp in front of his
crazy
children.
bitch.
That's
Oh, I'm sorry,
not
I'm
the
sorry, I'm sorry.
characterization of what happened.
I'm becoming unhinged. It just
Mr. Depp
pisses me
says
off
you
that she can't just say
screamed at him when
yes.
He accidentally spilled wine on you, correct?
I realize that's what Johnny said.
Yeah. And Mr. Depp
That's
tells
what
you
you
that
said.
freaked out his son Jack.
Johnny often used other people to back him up in our arguments.
You don't seem too concerned about that, do you?
I had a lot of concerns.
You don't seem
About his children.
mention Mr. Depp sexually assaulting you in this recording, do you?
That was not the point of that conversation. If I had
Yeah, you're
gotten
just worried about the
into what
wine.
happened to me
That's
with
all.
him, it would have been another fight.
You
So-
just accused Mr. Depp of, quote, using his kids, right? In that
He
recording.
would often use other people, yes.
That's another thing. The audio that I played at the beginning, the audio in my video, that my most recent video on my channel. If you have been through the traumatic, intense, horrifying beatings and assaults, sexual and physical violence, the way she speaks to Johnny, you would not speak to your abuser like that. And if you did, like she's claiming that the first time Johnny hit her was because she laughed at his wino tattoo. So she's saying that he hit her 3 times because he laughed at her tattoo. Yet during all of the recordings, all the remarks and comments of Amber yelling at him, insulting him for hours straight, he barely even raises his voice. I really wish they played more parts of the recordings. I'm gonna release more of it, the parts that I think really expose her, because there's parts in it where she actually talks about how she felt so safe in Australia because they were allowed to fight, and she wants to go back to how they were in Australia. I don't know why they didn't play that part. It is.
And you challenge him to find a woman who will not, quote, jump up and scream if she has been spilled on 3 times in a row.
That is correct.
Not find a woman who will tolerate being sexually assaulted and physically assaulted.
A woman who would put up with sexual abuse.
Oh,
Right?
sorry. I
was
spoke too
pointing
soon.
out
Camille
the ridiculous
had my back.
nature of him expecting me not to react to something that basic.
Your Honor, would this be a good time for a break?
Not to react to something that
Thank you.
basic.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and take our morning recess for 15 minutes.
Okay, I'm gonna end
and
the
discuss
stream here
case. If
too.
anybody don't do any outside research, we'll see you in 15, okay?
All right, so now that we watched all of that, one more time, since I was just talking about it, let's listen to that audio. So Depp would beat her up over Depp would beat her up over laughing at his tattoo, over just ridiculous things that were not that serious, but he didn't go apeshit when putting up with this.
Baby.
Why I freak out so fast these
Baby.
days is that I assume you're splitting.
Can't just stand there and take the punches. at a certain point, you're gonna fucking react.
That's not what I'm asking.
No,
Let's be fair.
No, but what I'm saying is,
We're talking about splitting. I'm not asking you to stand there while I punch you. Come on.
no, you're talking about me, yeah, getting out of the room or leaving. It did not, I didn't, in Australia, I didn't leave the fucking house. I went to other rooms.
Your splitting is chronic. It's early. It's quick. It's so not, you're not interested in not fighting. You are guaranteeing a fight when you do that. And I've told you this so many times. You guarantee if you were interested in not fighting, you would be respectful if you needed the space to make you be careful. Not
Just
to touch
imagine a
anyone
woman
and
who's
say,
been
"Need
beaten
2
and
3
sexually
minutes,"
assaulted
and then actually
saying
honoring
this
that.
to
How
her
can I trust
abuser.
you that it will be a few minutes when you've done this in the past and disappeared for hours? You know, I got mad at you in Australia about this. I said, baby, I want to trust you. It's hard for me not to try and work it out. If you want to be the person that's like, I need to cool down, help me do that, give that to you. But I can't give it to you if you always let me down and fuck up and forget.
Because I
and
gave you a time limit. I said I'll be back in 3 minutes. So I'm just,
no, it's
if that
different.
happens, if it happens,
It's different. You never.
if it happens, I'm just gonna say, look, I need some time. That's it.
I'm telling you, that will
Make it
make
worse.
it worse.
No,
It's
I guarantee you it will.
you're fucking throwing punches.
I'm not talking about throwing punches. I'm talking about an argument.
Right. In
Totally
arguments,
abusive.
you tend to throw punches.
I'm talking about arguments. I'm not talking about the time.
Oh, but remember on the stand she said, I've never
arguments.
hit Johnny. I've never beaten Johnny.
Yes, in our argument.
Or I've never like beaten him up.
Right away, you don't deal with the issue, you don't deal with the confrontation, and you split. Whether it is, and then you do it for an undetermined amount of time. You do it without actually respecting. When you do give me a time, like say I need a few minutes, and you never actually honor anything close to that. So I can't trust you, and when, especially when you always take off.
A few minutes is also an expression.
Yes, exactly, and I'm not holding you to it. I'm saying hours, and hours later is different. God, be respectful. That way, it won't perpetuate the fight more. It gives me anxiety and makes me far more stressed and far more angry, and perpetuates the amount of time that I can cool down and go, you know what, maybe I'm acting this way, maybe I'm being mean to him, or maybe I'm doing this wrong, maybe I should come to his side or compromise.
Here, let me go to the end here.
End it now and come straight to the solution. Or purpose is that a fight. Instead of just saying run away and then it becomes a run away, you start it when it could just be a petty argument, and you make it not a petty argument because you run away, and then it becomes a fight. Instead of just saying sorry, instead of working it out, instead of facing it, instead of confronting things, you run away at minute 3, and then it's impossible to work it out because you've insulted me. Now I'm mad, and then I have to come to you to go.
So she's yelling like this at the man who allegedly beats her and sexually assaults her. And she talks to him like this, even though she's alleging that he fucking hit her 3 times for laughing at his tattoo, a mistake tattoo that he literally adjusted as a joke because he thought it was funny and she laughed at it. But here he doesn't even like raise his voice.
Anymore. Fine, I'm done. I give up.
Okay, I'm gonna play this through the end and then.
No, you're not. You're trying to protect yourself only because you cannot control your anger and you cannot control it.
No, in fact, you know what? I'm trying to make it better. But this fucking time thing. You ask any fucking doctor. You ask Callan. You ask anybody.
It's so sad.
If it's coming to a fucking horrible, violent thing, is fucking walk away. Take your fucking time. Go to your corner. The best
were
thing
actually
you can
doing
do.
that as a
7 times.
I don't know what 7 times you're talking about. I don't
5 bathrooms to bedroom.
You were coked out of your fucking mind. You were fucking crazy. You didn't sleep for days. You were delusional. You were psychotic. Literally, you went into psychosis. Do not tell me about your behavior during that fucking escapade. I have tried to completely block it out.
And I threw the vodka bottle.
And I threw the vodka bottle.
No, absolutely. Okay, I'll admit that. Yeah, the majority of our fights, I hang on to it because it's fucking hard to let go of. Some of the shit that you go through in a fight can be painful, and it's hard to forget shit.
No shit, but if you want to keep doing this in your life, and you constantly are using that as ammunition that you can shoot yourself every time, okay? But at least admit you're doing it. You want to hold on to everything, never get over it, never let go, but don't scratch your head.
If you want to hold on to everything, stop scratching your head and wonder why I'm so aggressive.
I wonder why we fight so much. Stop scratching your head and wonder, and just admit it's because you never let a fucking thing go. You can't
So manipulative and abusive.
So it's all my fault.
No, splitting.
Me splitting.
Like the lack of
her splitting, him splitting when their fights escalate.
Like, it was so good for so long.
You
We
can
talked
never
about
be
it.
upset
Remember
at
we were
your
allowed to have fights with
abuser
him.
for
Remember we allowed
leaving when
ourselves
your
to say,
fights are
hey, we did this
escalating.
when you took. Remember we would even have a little argument and it was okay. It was an argument. I don't know what the fuck has changed. I can't figure it out. And I don't mean to criticize anything that
It's
you do, but
crazy.
it's so chronic with you, the changes in personality. It's like sometimes you get these clear months and you're this different person and it's wonderful, you're this, and then sometimes I'm like struggling to stay connected with you, struggling to have 5 minutes with you, struggling to connect with you, struggling to have my
Connect your
friendship with
fist.
you, and I can't fight
Connect
with
your
you.
fist
It's
to
like
him.
they're so chronic that I have to go, what the fuck has changed? What thing has changed?
Right, so that's that. And yes, that is just a teaser. I'm going to release more of a video similar to that. I might actually have some commentary on the longer one because there is some audio that is just, it is so just fully telling of Amber and her. It just, you can't deny that she was the abuser when you listen to this audio. I really don't know why they didn't play more of it during the trial, but so yes, thank you anybody for watching this. Let me know down below what you think. Happy birthday to Amber fucking Turd. Okay. I wanted to celebrate your recent 37th birthday by reacting to the most humiliating day of your entire life, deservingly so. So, I'll probably stream the rest another time because there's plenty more to talk about. I'm going to release the video of the audio. And I also want to go over the UK judgment because a lot of people don't know about how crazy that shit is too. It's insane how ridiculous that is. I couldn't believe it while I was reading. I was like, what? Like, it's so unfair. The judge is so unfair. It's like, it's not even like, it really is blatantly like unfair. So, again, thank you guys. Jane Gypsy, spelled with the number 6. Please like, subscribe, all that. Would appreciate any support. And, yeah, have a good rest of your night. Have a good week. Mwah. Justice for Johnny. Fuck you, Amber.